Hello, everyone. On behalf of Pema Lingpa and Siddhartha's intent, we would like to welcome you to this very special teaching on the Maha Guru Aspiration Prayer by Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche. Before we begin, I just wanted to take this opportunity to speak a little bit about the significance of today and why we requested Rinpoche for this particular prayer. In the Pema Kathang, the biography of Guru Rinpoche mentions of 1,000 minor tertans, 100 major tertans, and 5 tertan kings. The 5 tertan kings being Nyima Yözer, Guru Choang, Dorji Lingpa, Pema Lingpa, and Pema Osel Donga Lingpa, who is also Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. From the 5 tertan kings, Pema Lingpa is the only Bhutanese. So for Bhutan, he is a very, very important spiritual person. The Pelling Loche was started under the guidance of Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche, coinciding with the 500th anniversary of Pema Lingpa, which happens to be this year. Under the umbrella of Pelling Loche, many different activities have taken place. For example, the rediscovery and rebuilding of Pema Lingpa's forgotten birthplace. I say rediscovery because it was literally forgotten and buried. We also, marking the 500th anniversary, we had planned elaborate 4-day festival in Bhutan, where people can collectively practice the Pema Lingpa treasure teachings. And together with that, this particular teaching was requested. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the festival itself has been postponed to next year, and we are having the teaching virtually. So maybe in a way it is also fortunate. So now, just to let you all know, you can follow Pelling Loche on Instagram, Facebook. We are also conducting the Drupchen of Lama Norbu Jamcho, which started yesterday. Now it is ongoing. You can follow it live on Facebook page, Pelling Loche, or even the Pema Lingpa Foundation. I'll keep it at that so that we can go into the teaching. We request people to not message in the chat. If you have questions, and if Rinpoche does take a Q&A session, we will pick the questions from the Q&A bar on the bottom right corner. You can choose your translation by going into the translation room, also on the bottom right corner. Rinpoche has also mentioned to share with you all that because there's many different translations going on, sometimes he might take a break just so that the translators can catch up. And that is it. So Rinpoche, it's all yours now.
So, greetings to all our friends in Bhutan. And greetings to different people around the world who has sort of showed interest in listening to this. I feel very fortunate to have met or received the teachings of Pema Lingpa from Jabje Dujum Khandro Yeshe Tsogyal. I grew up in Bhutan, so Pema Lingpa is very, especially when I was growing up, Pema Lingpa was a very, a thing that happens in our day-to-day life. as a folklore, as legend at times, and also very, very special, our own Bhutanese, fellow Bhutanese, so to speak. Our king who reigned the kingdom of Bhutan is very much connected to Pema Lingpa DNA, so to speak. I will try my best to speak this special prayer by Khandro Yeshe Tsogyal, which was later discovered by great Pema Lingpa. I'm emphasizing that I'm going to try my best because this is not an ordinary prayer. This prayer consists of basically everything from A to Z of Buddhadharma, so to speak. This is a Pema Lingpa's treasure teaching. Like all the treasure teaching, we should never think that Pema Lingpa wrote this. It's not as if Pema Lingpa had a pencil and an eraser. He then wrote it, erased, thought about it, construct the sentence, read it again and again. See whether it's beautiful, poetic, readable. It doesn't work like that. Before I go ahead with this treasure teaching, I should really tell you this. This is a Mahayana teaching, and especially a Vajrayana teaching. So the listeners to this teaching have to be really broad-minded. And when I say broad-minded, I'm talking about, you have to be prepared to go beyond this very limited, narrow, rational, scientific, limited human way of thinking. If you think of, if you think in terms of certain logic, certain language, within a certain boundary, that's all you get. That's what you are asking for. But if you can sort of make your room bigger, of course, ideally, really vast and receptive, then it's possible that you can actually get a lot out of these treasure teachings. And by the way, it's not too far-fetched too, you know. I have recently tried my best, I think for the 10th time, to read 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriela Garcia Marquez. Last time I gave up after 10 pages. This time I think I reached about 50 pages and then I had to give up. I can't remember all those names still. And there is actually, I've read it somewhere that Gabriela Garcia, I don't know, when he was a Colombian, right? So when he went for a holiday with his wife, as he was driving, the first sentence of the 100 Years Solitude, 100 Years of Solitude, the first sentence, something to do with the ice. I don't know whether you, if any one of you have read it, you would remember. Something to do with it, like looking at the ice. This sentence somehow appeared while he was driving on his way for a holiday, which they have prepared for a long time. They've been wanting to do this holiday. And when this sentence occurred in his head, he told his wife, you know, look, I have to turn back. Something is coming to my head. Holiday need to be canceled. It just, you know, I can't stop. Something is happening in my head. And he turned around and supposedly he wrote this long novel. Now, I mean, you can find this out. Well, there are unfortunate vessels like myself who can't go beyond 50 pages still. There's still a lot more fortunate beings who can understand Gabriela Garcia Marquez out there. They are raving about Gabriela Garcia Marquez. I'm telling you this to give you that it's really not far-fetched, this treasure teaching thing. If you could understand if you let your mind, if you give chance to your mind, if you let it explore and expand, what this mind can do and how, you know, what kind of inspiration it can, you know, like what can inspire this mind. It's really, really amazing. But, you know, we, in general, we human beings, especially the modern human beings, we are really, really depriving ourselves from this very thing. We just don't give enough attention to the most important thing that we have, which is mind. Okay, we give so much, I mean, you know, man has gone, you know, people are smart enough to go to the moon, trying to go to Mars. I mean, some amazing thing has achieved. Antibiotics, I don't know, vaccinations, you know, but somehow we just don't pay enough attention to this mind. I mean, it did once upon a time during the Buddha's time, Shakyamuni Buddha's time. Obviously, I mean, Buddhism, Buddhadharma, I mean, that's all they, I mean, one could almost say that's all they care about, mind. If there is no, I mean, if basically Buddhism is all about mind. And around that time, Buddha's time, there were incredible thinkers in India and China. And they also, I think there's a traces that they actually paid a lot of attention to this mind business. But I don't know, for some reason, we have never been putting enough effort or attention. Well, now a lot of scientists and a lot of scholars are saying that probably, especially with the arrival of the artificial intelligence and the world as it is now, we human beings are forced now to think about this mind. Finally. So, if you can pay some attention to the matter of mind, you will really understand the vastness and the depth of the phenomena of Pema Lingpa, and therefore Khandro Yeshe Tsogyal's prayer, and many others. Actually, this is one small part of a much larger Pema Lingpa teaching. Okay, now talking about how important mind is the very subject we will be, I mean, that is the quintessence of the so-called aspiration, right? Aspiring, wishing, prayer, beseeching. This is what the mind does. So that's exactly what we are covering here with the Mahaguru prayer. Just so that we will have the gist of this incredibly profound and vast prayer, I may sort of go everywhere. What I'm saying is I'm not going to go through the stanzas in order. Sometimes it helps us to really kind of go, you sort of, mix it a little bit, go to the top, go to the bottom, so that we have the full picture. Because this is such a profound prayer. So there's two sections of this aspiration, well, this liturgy, I should say. The first part is basically, in Tibetan, we call it melam, which is prayer, or aspiration is probably a better word. And then last few stanzas is ngoa, melam, ngoa in Tibetan I guess you can loosely translate that as a dedication. Aspiration. Okay, when we talk about a dedication, we are talking about having done something, and whatever that act you dedicate to a specific cause. Whereas aspiration, the manam, it's not, it basically, the actual aspiration is the action. It's not really the dedication. So there's two parts in this liturgy. It begins, and it begins with the Mahaguru, Mahaguru Jinlapji, well, even the title of this aspiration, which there is no really a specific title, but for the convenience, people have ended up calling this Mahaguru prayer. So the stanza, the whole prayer begins with the Mahaguru Jinlapji by the blessing of the glorious Guru. Now, this sentence can be used throughout. You could almost sort of use this sentence to at the beginning of each section of this prayer. Mahaguru Jinapji, Dajang Sirap Tamjidu, Shingamda Paranda Lama Tamet Tambar Shok, Mahaguru Jinapji, Mugi Tamjang Mebe, Nebi Shabdu Bombasam. Basically, the blessing, through the blessing of the Guru, may so and so, such and such be accomplished, etc. Now, this is if, how should I put it? This is this statement alone is actually something quite special. So because this is probably one of the quintessential sentence of this whole liturgy, let us dwell discussing this a little bit. First, the word jinlap, very, very badly translated, is blessing, I guess, in English. And I don't know what Akiko-san will translate this in Japanese or in French or whatever. Buddhists in general don't believe that an external force, God or a guru or a creator, will sort of insert or pour down a power or a blessing. Ultimately, this is not a Buddhist view. So when we talk about Jinlap, what are we talking here? The real Jinlap, or the real blessing, is your own mind, which is stainless, which is also actually the Maha Guru. So can you understand, how Yeshe Tsogyal is just brilliant. This one, you can read it, Maha Guru, you can read this prayer as if, especially, in the, when we talk about the setting of this aspiration, we are talking about when Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, when he was about to leave Tibet, when he was about to take flight to Copper-Colored Mountain, all the kings and ministers and scholars and translators, and of course, Yeshe Tsogyal, they were all in, this Gungthang La. It's a kind of a hill or a peak of a place called Gungthang. And well, many of you, those who are familiar with the Nyingma teaching, you will know, I sometimes tease many of my Nyingma friends that this Gungthang peak seems to be like a place where lots and lots of teachings have happened. In fact, I guess it's kind of very normal, isn't it? When you love somebody, when you respect somebody, and when this somebody is about to leave, let's say he's about to take a bus, or when he's about to take a train or go to airport, then suddenly you think about, you read your notes and, is there anything that I've left, forgotten to ask? I guess something like that. So many, exchange between Guru Rinpoche and Tiral Bachin and Guru Rinpoche, and so many others happened on the peak of Gungthang. Yeah, I'm really dying to go to this peak of Gungthang. One of these days, I really wish to go. I don't know, that place has to be something quite special. Anyway, this prayer happened to be Yeshe Tsogyal's. I don't think we should call it a farewell prayer, because farewell is not really the point. I mean, farewell is not really it. It's really like parting, I guess, temporarily parting from the Guru. So sort of her last prayer just before Guru Rinpoche took off. So when you hear these stories, then of course, we are talking about a very relative, symbolic, and historical Guru who is about to depart, and the historical sort of disciple, or in her case, the consort, is offering her last sort of parting prayer. But as you will notice as we go down a few more stanzas, and probably this is here, this is the here I should also mention, there are so many treasure teachings of the many different Tibetan treasure discoverer, where, and especially also in the Pema Lingpa teachings, where there's a clear confirmation or a statement of how actually Yeshe Tsogyal is no she is, or she was, or she is Guru Rinpoche. Sometimes we call her Lama Yum, Lama Yabi Yum. So really cannot see her as some sort of a separate entity from Guru Rinpoche. She's just Guru Rinpoche. But for dualistic, time-bound, space-bound people like us, we need to have some sort of something tangible to think of. So then I guess Guru Rinpoche as the master, Yeshe Tsogyal as actually Yeshe Tsogyal is always referred as a Tok, Je, Mbang, Tok. Tok means friend. Even on the relative level, Yeshe Tsogyal is, most of the time, Yeshe Tsogyal is referred as the dog or the companion. Dog Yeshe Tsogyal. But more importantly, the word Mahaguru is actually referring to our own nature of the mind. This is why the word Maha in Sanskrit mean referring to something great, something like infinite. Okay, going back to the blessing. And I use this example a lot, and probably I will use it again here. If you need to wash a dish, a dirty dish, the fact that dish, the dirty, seemingly temporarily seemingly dirty dish can be washed is because dish itself inherently is never permanently stained by the dirt. That is the blessing. You see, this is kind of important here in the whole thing. So this Jinlap, you don't have to download from somewhere. You don't have to actually beseech. You already actually have it. I mean, you have mind, don't you? And I have mind. You are listening to me. You are sort of comprehending me. You are sort of knowing what I'm saying or not knowing. Probably some of you are getting confused. Even then, what is it that is getting confused? The mind. This mind. The great Saraha, one of the greatest Mahamudra master, also said, Rinchen nondisam la chasalo. I prostrated to the mind that is like a wish-fulfilling gem. This is actually the real Jinlap, real Mahaguru. And that you have it. But of course, on the relative level, this mind, our innate Guru, Mahaguru, which is now being projected as I guess he's if the external Guru Rinpoche is alive today, he would be holding Pakistani passport, no? Or what? Afghan? I think something like that, right? Pakistani, right? Peshawar. I have a lot of things to say about this, but probably it's not the right thing to say. When you look at those people, you could feel, their turban, and they're just such a, this mountain-like look. I could just feel it sometimes. But anyway, I don't want to waste our time here talking about these things. But anyway, yes. So externally, Guru Rinpoche, time-bound, one who went to, well, Bhutanese, we are so proud that he went to a place, he went to very near our airport. But took air, flies, well, probably not these days, but before the pandemic, almost every day over the Parotaksam. And we are very proud that he was there. And not only that, Yeshe Tsogyal. Bhutanese are very proud, and they should be, that there's a two most important place of the Yeshe Tsogyal and Guru Rinpoche. And they're both in Bhutan, Mankan Nering Sengezong and Paro Taksam. Both are in Bhutan. So, those are, some of us, okay, we all have mind, all of us, but some of our mind have this cause and condition, this kind of, what do you call it, affinity, this kind of, I don't know, because of our, you can call it merit, you can call it our karma, we can call it our past karmic aspiration. We just feel inspired, we feel excited, we feel close to phenomena such as Guru Rinpoche and Yeshe Tsogyal. So for this kind of people, when we say Mahang Guru Chinapchi, we could think that this is referring to Guru Rinpoche. Either way is fine. But I need to tell you this, because when we say Mahang Guru Chinapchi, if this statement is only referring to the historically bound Guru Rinpoche, who once upon a time, 2000 years ago, came to Bhutan and he never returned, then we are, remember I was talking earlier, then we are thinking very small. Then we are thinking very limited. Then we are thinking in terms of things like anthropology, history, measurement. The moment you think like that, you are basically not much bigger than a small mouse or a, I don't know, insect. Mouse, cats, they have a certain capacity to think. They have their language. Using their own language, they communicate. There's nothing that extraordinary. So the reason why I'm stressing this before we go ahead with the rest of the prayer. And okay, so now to explain this further. Mahanguri Chinabji, Dajang, Serap Tamjidu, Shinkam Tabi Porumba, Lama Tarme Tambarsho. May I never be separated from the Guru in the palace and the Buddha field, in the Buddha field and the palace of the pure, primordially pure state. Okay. It's like this. Prayer. This, yes, you can say this is a prayer. This is a prayer liturgy. this is, let's say, prescribed by Yeshe Tsogyal, discovered by Pema Lingpa, and we are to do this. Now, we should pray to something that is achievable, achievable. Like nowhere in this whole prayer, it says, may I never die. You understand? That's not achievable. Prayer has to be achievable. Otherwise, whoever has composed this prayer is deceiving us. So the first sentence, Lama Dharme Tambarsho, may I never be separated from the Guru. How is that possible? Especially Guru Rinpoche is about to take off to Mayapling, copper-colored mountain. What's she talking about? She's here, she's on the Gungtang, peak of the Gungtang, basically saying goodbye. And then she's also praying, may I never be separated from you. What is that? But because, as I said earlier, because the Maha Guru is none other than the nature of your mind. Maha Guru is your mind. That is the Jinlap. And this, even if you wish to separate, you cannot. Try yourself, right this very moment. Can you try to say sort of, hey, mind, can you sort of pause for 1 hour or 1 minute? You cannot. You're stuck with it, It's just that we are not being able to use its full capacity. Remember, I told you earlier, especially these scientists, the rationalists, all this, I really don't know. I was thinking recently that we human beings, we have achieved a lot. I mean, iPhone 13 is about to come very soon, right? I mean, just within my own life, the smartphones are just mind-boggling. I'm using something called Siri. This Siri is doing a lot of things, sometimes just talking to me out of nowhere. But as I said earlier, we're just not being able to use the one thing that is the most important, that is our mind. So for us, what's happening? Lamadang Chal. We are always separated. I mean, even though in reality, we are never separated from the Guru. It's a bit like you are a beggar, destitute, poor, you have nothing, begging food, struggling, and you have your bedroom right on the top of a treasure mine. It's equal to you don't have the treasure. Let's say you have a gold nugget hanging on your neck, but you don't know it's gold. It's equal to not having gold. You go here, there, you sit, you sleep, you eat with mind, but you are not using mind. Yeshe Tsogyal praying Maha Guru Chinabji, Dajang setup tamchido all the time. This setup is not necessarily referring to this life and the next life. It's talking about continuously. May I be able to not separate from this Mahaguru Lama Tami Tamrashos. And then if I mean, each stanza has an incredible, wealth and depth. So we of course need to sort of complete this prayer. So if I go through this, without any hypocrisy, without any, what do you call it? Contrived, fabricated maybe, but with a genuine admiration, devotion, and a pure perception to this Guru. And every time when I say Guru, please always think in terms of two kinds: the inner Guru, the Mahaguru, your nature of the mind, and the outer Guru, which is the reflection of this. For Khandro Yeshe Tsogyal is the Guru Rinpoche. Also for us, it's Guru Rinpoche. And for a lot of us, we are our own Guru, whom we have received teachings. Because I have received Pema Lingpa teachings from Jabji Dujam Jigre Yeshe Doji. For me, Jigre Yeshe Doji is Guru Rinpoche. When I received these teachings from Jabji Dujam Rinpoche, he had asthma. He had to cough a lot. And that is because that's all my swanam merit, my own capacity of pure perception can, handle, so to speak. If my merit and my pure perception is bigger, I'm sure every cough, every wheezing sound he made when he was having an asthma attack, I could extract lots of nectar of teachings. But, me bound by dualistic thinking, but at the same time, lucky enough to appreciate Dujam Jigre Yeshe Doji as someone who is connected to Guru Rinpoche. So anyway, with a genuine devotion towards this Guru, fulfilling the wishes of this Guru, offering our service. And when we talk about the service, especially the service of practicing. Now, this is another important point here. When we talk about pleasing the Guru, Paltu Rinpoche talks about the three ways to please. The most powerful and the important way to please the Guru is by practicing. Practicing what? Practicing mind, right? By practicing mind, what happens? It takes you to the inner Guru. So it's like much more than pleasing. When we are talking about a pleasing, we are talking about an external being, getting pleased. And then if you, on top of that, offering physical or I don't know, whatever your skill, your time and giving your, what do you call it, service to the Shabdo. This is Nyebi Shabdo, Shabdo, it's like a service, physical, time, skill. And then lastly, material, food, flowers, incense, I don't know, greetings. And through this, fulfilling the wishes of the Guru, may I be able to actualize the Jinlap. Again, I've already explained the Jinlap earlier. Actualize one's own nature of the mind. And then here now, so I would, again, just to, this is what I was saying, Maha Guru Jinlapji. This sentence, we can bring it all the way here. Maha Guru Jinlapji, Kusung Tuji Jinlapji, Maha Guru Kusung Tuji Jinlapji. Dunga Yesu Mimba Samuja Zonamil, Manto Drupa Chabrasho. This is just when I'm to understand the prayer. I'm not suggesting that you should bring that sentence when you are doing the prayer. Of course not. Anyway, by the blessing of the Guru's body, speech, and mind, through his body, speech, and mind, may my body, speech, and mind ripen. Okay, so this two sentence, kusung tuji chinlapji lunga yisum minpatang. This sentence is talking about Abhisheka, Wang. And it really, yes, Wang, Abhisheka. And Bhutanese, many Bhutanese are quite familiar with the idea, the phenomena called Wang, Wang Shu, we say, Wang, receiving Wang. Okay, Wang. The term Wang is like authority, right? Authority, entitlement. I think authority is good. Empowerment is also good. Again, if we use the word entitlement, if you are, let's say, I don't know, son of Duke of Nottingham, then you are entitled. I just made that up. I don't know whether there's any Duke called Duke of Nottingham. Let's say you are a son of a Duke of, I don't know, Wellington or Edinburgh or whatever. Then you are entitled to the wealth or the position of that, I don't know, Edinburgh, Rochester, whatever. You understand? So we are talking about the similar thing here. You, all of us, we are entitled to Ku, Sung, Tuk, Kaya, Vaka, Chitta, body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. Why? Because our mind is a Buddha. A similar thing what I said earlier, Jinlap. We are entitled. And this word min is such an important word. Min means ripen, right? Right now, you and my body is a bit like green tomato, not yet ripened, unless you like the green tomato. But let's say you want to have a, I don't know, pomodoro, pasta, pomodoro. You want a red tomato, right? So it has to be ripened. You and I, our body, our mind, our speech is like a really hard, unripened tomato. But one thing that you need to know is that at least we are a tomato. If you are avocado and we need to eat pomodoro, pasta pomodoro, useless, you are useless. Isn't it? Pomodoro, red tomato, this is what we want. So we are so lucky that at least we are green tomato. Sure, we are green tomato. At least we can be ripened to the red tomato. You have that, the whole ingredient in you. So by the blessing of the body, speech, and the mind of the Guru, our body, speech, and mind gets ripened as the Ku, Sung, and Tuk, body, speech, and mind. Buddha's body, Buddha's speech, Buddha's mind. So here, Kusung Tuji Chinabji Dunga is Mimbadang. So when he talks about this, she's talking about Abhisheka. What is it? One. Okay. Most of us, it takes time for a tomato, green tomato, to become red tomato. So, meanwhile, what do? Now we know at least it's a tomato. That's already, I should not really say at least. The big good news is that you are a tomato. Anybody who comes in the middle of this teaching, they will get really confused. They will think, what's happening here? Dzongsa Khyentse is supposed to teach this very profound teaching on Mahaguru prayer, but we are now talking about a tomato. But anyway, maybe somebody can recap. But anyway, green tomato. So for some of us, it takes time to ripen. So what do we do? I don't know. Sun, let the sun hit. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know about this. I guess, sun is an important one, right? So that it will ripe properly. And I don't know, railing, fencing, so that goats won't eat it, obstacles, So then what do we do? For that, so for that, we need to practice upanikrama and sampanikrama, cherim and dzogrim. Lunga yisme the sami chezo namila, upanik, the cherim and dzogrim. So very briefly, we have no time to talk about the whole, these are really, as I was saying, Khandro Yeshe Tsogyal, I'm telling you, these things are not written. You can't write these things. Of course, nowadays, we lamas, we just copy these things and, arrange the words here and there, but these things can't be written. These things it just comes out when you are, when you can claim the entitlement, when you have the DNA document to prove that you are the child of Duke of I don't know, Edinburgh, or I don't know, whatever, then you can just confidently go and claim. This is what happened with all this that done, you see. So, I mean, for some of us, maybe this is an easier way to understand. Between Pema Lingpa and Yeshe Tsogyal and Guru Rinpoche, they're exactly the same thing, one. Because of that, Pema Lingpa is basically entitled to. It's like, okay, I'm entitled, I am entitled and I can remember. I am allowed to remember and tell you, I just took a Japanese, what do you call it, noodle, as for, for my lunch, right? I can tell you that. This is exactly how it is for these treasure takers. They can just, it's entitled, they can just express, because they're the one, it's coming from the same ocean. Anyway, to maintain your body, speech, and mind as the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, you then do it through two techniques. One is Cherim and the other is Jorim. Upanikrama and Sampanikrama. And it's very briefly, Cherim is basically maintaining that you are not an ordinary person, or you are not an ordinary being. You are actually a deity, a dakini, daka, whatever. It's a bit like this. Let's say you have a dementia. You forgot who you are. Okay? And your guru is sort of, out of his compassion, his or her compassion, is like showing you certain your guru is using certain techniques, such as, okay, let's say you have a dementia, and this is one pill that you always take, right? So you are, I don't know, your parents or your friends sort of, 6 times a day try to show you, what's this? This is, you're very familiar. This, you're about to recall. So always showing. So it's a bit like that. Right now we have a dementia. We've forgotten who we are. We are Guru Rinpoche, we are Yeshe Tsogyal, we are this and that deity, but we have forgotten. So this kind of a trick is basically Jerim. So there's so many techniques where you are supposed to, for instance, in Bhutan, since I'm speaking to a lot of Bhutanese here, a lot of Bhutanese are very keen on practicing terma, like Krodikali. So basically trying to remind themselves with attributes such as, fangs and dark and curved knife and so on and so forth. So that's what basically, I'm trying to express this kind of in a very, I don't know, simple way, as I'm trying. So Yeah. And then Dzogrim is basically trying to know that everything you visualize or you think or not think are basically just your projection. They are nothing more than a reflection of your mind, projection of your mind. Just like a moon reflecting on the water, they are there, but at the same time, they are not there. So this understanding the emptiness aspect is basically the Dzogrim. So by the blessing of the Guru, Mahaguru, may I be able to receive the Wang, may I be able to receive the, after receiving the Wang, may I be able to practice the Jerim and Dzogrim, and basically how should I say, merge our life into practice. We are supposed to take a break. If I'm over the time, can somebody tell me? Am I?
You're good. We have 25 more minutes.
Okay. Okay. Next one. Lokto duji tsonamda neden parchishivada khordam longcho jebai samba yijindu barsho. It's just incredible. Every word. By the power of the Mahaguru's blessing, may the obstacles, so she has, categorized obstacles here first. And as you can, notice, of all the obstacles, the worst one, the most vicious one, the thing that we should be really, really worried about is not really like sickness. Not things like, all kinds of obstacles like even death. No, not here. It's not, not on the top list. Right on the top is lokto, wrong view. Wrong view is synonymous to du, like lokto, du jitsonamda. Du, demon, Mara. Who is it? It's a lokto, wrong view. What kind of wrong view are we talking about? Oh, so much. I mean, I can go on and on about this, and it will end up becoming a ranting. I mean, the fact that I have to do this, Some ranting is almost like inevitable from Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche, isn't it? The fact that the rise of individualism, individual right, wow, that is one of the biggest wrong view. It's just not possible at all. Yes, ideally, romantically, this is possible. Rise of individualism. I mean, forget the Dharma practice. You can't even have a proper relationship You can't even have a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or a boyfriend-boyfriend or girlfriend-girlfriend. You can't even have a proper relationship. Because, you want to use your WhatsApp. Your girlfriend or a boyfriend wants to use WeChat. Each and every individual. It's so confusing. This self-cherishing, so much hype on individualism, and actually believing that it's possible. That is one wrong view that is killing the modern people. It's basically destroying the modern people. Of course, the politicians, they're so happy when they hear this. They have something to feed. But Yeshe Tsogyal is not even talking about this. That was me, ranting. That's like a kindergarten level of Lokto. You understand, for Yeshe Tsogyal? For Yeshe Tsogyal, the real Lokto is you not even believing that your mind is perfect as it is. Condemning yourself. Looking down at yourself. This is the real Lokto. And this is specifically important for my fellow, young Bhutanese, because my fellow young Bhutanese, sometimes, they get easily what they call kotang chat. Kotang chat. I don't know how to translate that in other language, kotang chat. I don't know. Like, how do you translate that, Pao? Kotang chat.
Not sure, Buddhadharma.
Kotang chat. They just, in one of the Bhutanese dialect, it's called semshi. Such an amazing term. Semshi means the death of mind. Someone tells you something very, very little, maybe negative. Semshi, jang semshiwa. Someone kotang chat. I don't know. It's basically something to do. Basically, we have forgotten this gold mine that is basically all the time with us, and not being able to use this wealth, and putting so much effort in all the other things, external things. And when things does not go according to this petty plan, then basically sort of like giving up. I think kotang chat has something to do with the giving up. Yeah. This is what, anyway, dualistic mind is the fundamental Lokto. And on top of that, of course, wrong view of not believing in cause and condition and effect, wrong view on path, eternalistic view, nihilistic view, so on and so forth. So that is the main obstacle that we need to overcome. So by the blessing of Mahaguru, may this Lokto maybe be able to overcome that, together with all the other, like sickness, obstacles. May they all be pacified. May we have friends, families, retinues, and may our wish be fulfilled. Okay, the next praying to the Guru. By the blessing of the Mahaguru, may I be able to always put the practice of mindfulness, awareness. May I be able to apply the one-pointedness, samadhi, tingzin, at all time. And here I want to explain this a little bit more. Where should we, all the favorable places. And then here she laid a few names here. Duche, cemetery. Rite is more like a isolated or like a mountain. Ri is mountain. It's more, yeah. And then Khandro is like a glacier. But we have to understand this not only literally. Literally is also fine. There is a tradition, especially in the past, in Bhutan, probably getting less and less now. There are actually, even when I was growing up, there were a lot in Bhutan, remote places, mountains, are filled by practitioners. But when this, cemetery, mountain, or isolated place, or glaciers, she's not only talking about the actual physical cemetery. In one sense, cemetery is everywhere. Where there is a body, like right now, wherever you are sitting and listening to this, in a way is a cemetery. Why? Because that body that you have, that will be discarded like a used tissue paper anytime, any day. So in this sense, everywhere is a cemetery. This is one way to understand the cemetery. Of course, also the real cemetery is considered very, very special place, but basically everywhere. Isolated place is also, again, where it could be maybe your living room is not really isolated, but maybe your bedroom is isolated from distractions. Or maybe you can isolate every day from your home to a park. You can isolate yourself, even for a few seconds. And the Khandro, this is probably for a very new audience here, little difficult to understand, but again, this can be understood literally, but more importantly, the glacier is the Khandro is you are supposed to do tumo, kundalini, this heat practice. Now, this is, of course, a really very vast subject. The reason why we are supposed to do this heat or Kundalini practice is we are a human. And as a human, we belong to what we call desiring realm. Of all the emotions, our desire, the emotion desire is probably the most prominent, especially desire that is related to physical. And I'm not only talking about like wanting to eat food and just like a warmth, like, I don't know, like intimacy, that kind of desire is a very, very strong emotion for human beings. So in the Tantra, there is a method of using this emotion as the path. And that practice is called Kundalini, or sometimes Tummo, heat, fire. So she's talking about that basically. Anyway, the most important word here is sok, meaning so on, wherever, as long as it takes you closer to your true nature, that is a perfect place. So to these places, may I be able to practice at all times. Shall we take a break now?
Laso Rinpoche. So we will take a break for 15 minutes.